Welcome to the Embody Your Design podcast. I am your host, Amy May, 6'3" emotional manifesting generator. I am obsessed with human design and mindset tools and using them to create a life beyond my wildest dreams. My goal with this podcast is to bring you human design and share stories around how you too can begin to embody your human design. What is talked about in this podcast are the thoughts and opinions of me and my guests. I'm always welcome to feedback should you have any. Thank you for being here, and let's dive in as we embody our human design, one conversation at a time.
Awesome. As we've said before, I'm so excited to be doing this and doing a reading for you. Something I ask people before I do any sort of reading is like, what is your knowledge of human design, or have you ever had a reading before?
Yeah, I have had a reading before. I actually worked with a human design coach for a little while. And so I got quite a bit of like information from her, but I feel like there's so much to learn about human design that it just never ends. And I always am I'm always curious and intrigued and excited to learn more. So
yeah. Yay. Oh yeah. So is there anything in particular that has like stood out to you, something that you would like to dive deeper in with your chart, since you have already worked with somebody before?
yeah, I think I was just thinking about it the other day, and I was just kind of wanting a little bit more of a refresh because it's been a while, and I would love to just know how best to show up in my community as a business owner, and how to show up online, and how to share important information and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like that is always something that's super helpful.
Yeah, of course. And then can you, what is it that you do in your business? I know we connected through a business program, but I just to help me like understand you a little bit better, like what is it that you do in your business?
Yeah, so I'm a business and marketing coach, and I help spiritual and soul driven entrepreneurs sign more clients, make more sales, and have a greater impact in their worlds, while working only 10 to 15 hours a week, because that's how I built my business. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yes, awesome. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Yeah. So the biggest thing, like we are both manifesting generators, and you have the 3420 channel, this, so that's like that true manifesting generated channel, because it connects your sacral to your throat. So this is all about being, there's this like balance that you gotta deal with. I deal with it too. I've got that 3420, where it's like you have this like strong like ambition and wanting to do a whole lot of things and multitask, and like, oh, I want to do all the things. But then that 20 is all about like being present in the moment and sharing what is bringing you like that joy and that pleasure, like in the moment. And so like when you're sharing and when you're marketing your own business, like really, like, yes, like strategy is so important, but also at the same time, like being able to pay attention to what's going on like right now, and maybe diversifying the plan a little bit. Something that I find that I do in my business, and when I'm showing up, is if I feel called to share something, I share it. Like in the moment, like when it's coming up, that's like a huge key piece with this like 3420. Like what's pleasurable, what's bringing you satisfaction right now, or what are you responding to like right now, because there can be so many things going on in that even though you're a manifesting generator, like you're a generator first. So that is all about like responding to everything that is outside of you, and like, you know, responding to things that you see, responding to things that you hear, things that you feel, and being able to like share that and share the things that bring you satisfaction. That's going to be what other people are like drawn towards with you, with your energy, is, oh, I want that like pleasure, I want that satisfaction, and that's like what is really magnetizing about you. Do you have any questions or anything coming up with that like so far?
Yeah, that's actually just super helpful. And it's so funny because the first thing that came to mind when you said that, so I feel like maybe this is a challenge with a lot of manifesting generators, is I feel like I have so many ideas and thoughts. Like if I were to post everything that I wanted to post in the moment, or like share what's on my mind, I feel like I would post like 10 times a day. And so I found myself stopping myself from creating content or posting things because I feel like I'm like, this is just going to overwhelm people. This is way too much. Like I'm going to post like 5 times a day if I wanted to. And so then I just kind of find myself inhibiting what I want to share or what I want to say, and choosing what feels like the right thing to post. So
Ooh, yeah, that definitely happens. Something that that I learned was, sometimes like you have these things to say, and it's okay to maybe like create content to be used later, or have like an idea. Like I have like an idea folder, and I just like, I need to get this out. It's almost like sometimes you need to get something out to see how your body responds to it. And then I save things, and sometimes I wait for maybe other people to ask about things. So for example, like I do human design and everything. You know, I've been waiting for the right time to teach, to really truly teach about like gates and channels. And I had like a whole bunch of people ask, and then all of a sudden it felt like the right moment. And so that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I have it on the schedule for later on this year. And then everything just started like flowing. Whereas before, maybe things felt like I was forcing things. One of the like signs of out of alignment with, I believe it's when it's like one of the things with manifesting generators, it's like this force. It's like, oh, you're trying to like force things through, and holding like, and then it just feels kind of like ickier. That's where that frustration feeling could come about, when you're trying to like force things about. But when you wait like for that correct time, then everything begins to flow. And that's a way to work with, like, wow, I have like 10 million things that I want to say right now, and they are like, you know, here and here and here, like all over the place. And so like getting those things out, like maybe keeping like a record of them, because, and I also believe that if it's truly important, it comes back, but maybe waiting until it like comes up with maybe like a client or like your audience will ask like that question, and then then it's there for you to like respond to. The other thing that could be is waiting for something, for like a sign to show up like 3 times in order to know if something is like truly correct for you. That's something that I work with. That's kind of how I got started with human design. Like I had just started talking about it with, because it was a tool that I was learning and using. I was like, oh my gosh, this is making so much sense. And then people started asking me, oh, can you read my chart? And so that's kind of how I got started, was just it just came up like so much like outside. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess this is what I'm meant to do. And that's kind of how I got started a couple of years ago doing readings. So that's another thing that you can use. The other thing I want to say is sometimes with the response thing, if you've ever like maybe asked your audience like, oh, what would you like me to talk about, or do you have any questions, or like testing out like an idea with them, it's not about like this response or like getting feedback from other people. It's not about what they think you should do. It's about really tuning into what really truly lights you up and brings you satisfaction. Like that is going to be like a really huge thing for you, is like what brings you satisfaction. Do you have any questions or anything coming up for you with this?
Yeah, I don't think so. I feel like that's really helpful. And it just comes back to really tuning in and doing what feels good for me. And sometimes waiting, like writing that down, putting it into a note, like, so I can at least get it out of me, because I've noticed that when I go, no, I'm not going to write that, or, I'm not going to post that, I'm not going to share that. Sometimes I don't write it down, and then I feel like I just get like stuffed up to the brim. And so taking the time to like just write that down and get it out of my mind, and then really waiting for that response of, okay, now feels like a really good time to share that. That feels really good for me.
Yes, yeah. And something else, and this is something that maybe you've already like worked through or something, but you do have like this undefined root here. So sometimes there can be this like pressure to keep on like working, or feeling like you can't rest until your to-do list is done. I know you said working like 10 to, I think you said 10 to 15 hours a week, like with your business. But even then, even with those shorter work periods, there can be this guilt around, oh, I'm not doing enough. Oh, it's not happening quick enough. Like if you have a goal, like maybe feeling like, oh, it's not happening quick enough, I'm stressed, I'm not handling this well. So you're feeling like that pressure from outside of you. I also have like an undefined root. And so most of the time, this is like pressure that you're feeling like from outside of you, from the people around you, from maybe the coaching industry in general, like the online business space. Like there's a lot of people who, talk about, oh my gosh, I made like $1 million in my first year of business. And there can be like this pressure that you feel. So like working through that, just recognizing like you have your own beautiful divine timing. Sometimes you may need some deadlines to keep you on track, but they're meant to help you, not to stress you out. So you may feel like you need that adrenaline pressure in order to get things done, but you can create that in like a safe and healthy way. I personally use some accountability, not just in my business, actually not too much in my business, but in my personal life. Like I use a lot of accountability. That's kind of where I've been working in that area. And online calendars are my best friend. Like, okay, this is what needs to get done and where. And then also giving yourself a lot of space too, a space to rest, and a space to like truly enjoy your rest. So I just wanted to share that a little bit, because these things can still come up. And maybe especially since you do promote like that, like working, less than 20 hours a week, like that really lighter workload, like sometimes challenges can come up. And it's just important to recognize that it's not necessarily coming from within yourself, but it's like these outside influences that are coming up for you. So Do you have anything coming up in that area for you, or?
I think it was just a really important reminder of like allowing myself to really, really enjoy the rest.
Yes.
And not be, something that I'm intentionally working on right now is like, not having distractions when I'm resting. So like putting my phone in a different room, because it's so easy to like hop onto social media, and that's where my job is. And so
Yeah.
even though I'm not working, it's like I'm not fully disconnecting from that and not fully resting. And so that was a really great reminder.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's really important. And I know when I was talking about doing things like or sharing things, that um, are in the present moment and everything. Some things that can come up with because you do have like this undefined head and ajna up here, is you can find yourself like maybe thinking about like what matters more to other people. So really focusing on like where your thoughts are, or maybe it can maybe like recognizing like what's coming from you and what really matters to you and in your life versus what matters to other people. And like social media breaks can be really helpful. I know you talked about that before, but yeah, like taking breaks from social media can be really helpful. And even if you can still maybe like post and show up on social media, like post, but maybe not like scroll, like having like a scrolling detox. I know I personally use tools where I can like create things on my computer, and then I just like have the strength to pop in just to post it on from my phone, and then peace out, goodbye.
Right.
Just because you can feel like the pressure to like think about things, or maybe like seeking inspiration from social media. And if you find yourself in that not self theme of frustration or even anger, it can show up either way for manifesting generators. Me personally, I feel more frustrated versus angry, but other people feel more of like the anger of the manifesting generator, just because it is that hybrid between the generator and the manifester. So just really paying attention to how these things are making you feel, and when you are recognizing yourself in the not self themes. The other part that I see is like your ajna is completely open. So you can really see a lot of different perspectives. And so that can lead to like searching for certainty and not really being sure or certain. And really the ultimate truth is that everything is subjective. Everything is subjective to everybody's perspective, everybody's opinion. And when you can truly like step back and see that, that's going to help things to flow a little bit more. And you're not necessarily designed to be certain, and that is perfectly okay. You're not the only one. And so it's actually really a beautiful energy, because you can see when you're working with clients, like you could pick up on some of the like limiting beliefs that they are operating from, and you can really show them a different way of looking at things, especially with people who have defined ajnas, because they can be really stubborn and really struggle to see that other side. And so that's something that's a strength of yours that you can use when you're working with clients, which I'm like, I love it. It's so beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions or anything coming up in those areas?
Yeah, I think that what you said about like being really mindful of like how I'm interpreting that is like being really mindful of how I take in information from, for example, social media or from external sources. And like, because I have such an open ajna, I think is what you said. I'm like really quick to digest all of it and like take it in. And I've noticed that about myself because I'm like, oh, like that seems true. And this seems true. And like there's been some like conflict that arises for me sometimes in that area. But something I'm feeling really called to bring up, which this somehow triggered that and brought this up for me. But I've noticed like so being a multi-passionate, manifesting generator, I really, 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 really love and light up talking about spirituality. And I really, really, really light up talking about business. And I'm like trying to figure out how to blend the two in a way that feels right for me. And also in a way that like my clients and my community can connect with. So I'm curious if there's anything that comes up for you around that struggle that I'm currently facing.
Well, you're here to do both. Like, I mean, if you're passionate about it, you're here to do it. And I see a lot of like spiritual business coaches out there, and what it could be, because there's a lot of, it's a whole like, I don't know, ideal client like niche is like these spiritual entrepreneurs. And so what I've learned is just go with your passion. You are multi-passionate, like just own it. It doesn't necessarily have to blend in together. Like, yes, you can bring some spirituality concepts to business coaching if your clients are open to that. But there's someone that I have, it's a friend of mine, and so I like guide her behind the scenes, so not like an official client, but she's a homesteader, but she also is an incredibly gifted psychic, and she does both. And it's just releasing this need to like fuse them together, and talking about one, or maybe creating things for one versus the other. Like, people see you as a whole human. Like, I think Gary Vee says like you are the niche, instead of it's like, oh, I gotta be this one thing, I gotta put myself in a box. But really, you are a whole human. So especially if you're doing like a personal brand, you can have like your business or your marketing courses or programs, but if there's something spiritual that you feel really called to do, just go for it and do it. Especially if you find maybe just start talking about it. Doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, I got to create a program and an offer about it right away, but maybe like talk about it and see, are people responding to you in that way? Is there something specific about spirituality that you're into and would want to talk about?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I think a huge part of it is like the spiritual evolution. I mean, so I see like personal growth and personal development and stepping into like the person that you are meant to be on this earth and like fully expressing yourself. And I see that as a really spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
I've been, in school to become a therapist for many years. And so like, it's like the psychology, like spiritual side of connecting with your higher self. And my business was like birthed through meditation and through channeling and through journaling and like all of this stuff. And I feel like I've shared parts of that. And I think that maybe like the open ajna piece, and like, we met in a specific business group, and that business group makes it very clear about what type of content your community needs to hear or wants to hear, and like coming back to that. And so there's been like this pull inside of me and this push and pull of like, well, how much of the spiritual side do I share? Because I love helping people just go inward. I love helping people tap into their intuition and, trusting that everything is unfolding to a greater purpose and to in divine timing and the way that it's meant to, and not only to like create a specific outcome, for example, like a business, but to also help you grow personally as a human. And for example, like when I work with my clients, I love working with clients whose launches didn't go well, because I get to tap into like the spiritual side of it. And like, what are you learning? What are you learning on an emotional level about you, about worth, about, feeling like you deserve this or don't deserve this? How safe do you feel or not feel having this? And so like, I love tapping into that side of it. And it just feels like sometimes it's hard to mix the two. And I guess what I'm hearing from you is like, I don't have to mix the two necessarily. I can just talk about both sides of it. Which I'm still trying to wrap my head around because I'm so used to like a structure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that both sides are just so valuable for me and so important. And doing that work and doing that inner work and doing the spiritual work and like allowing myself to come out of my shell and to heal really old wounds, like through my business, like that has been a really big part of this work for me.
Yeah, you can. And if it comes up where you're working with people and you're using, the tools that you use, like beautiful, that's great, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, it doesn't have to be like blended together. It can be. I know some coaches, like spiritual business coaches, who just talk about like, how, you said you birthed your business through meditation, like talked about it, like like sharing their story that way. And then and these are people I've invested with, like in their programs, they do bring up like spiritual concepts, or like use meditations to help with business, with everything. Like meditation, I think I'm vaguely remembering things, but meditation, like, help you connect to your ideal client, like a guided meditation for that. Like, and it's really beautiful. And if things, I would say, like, ask yourself why you feel like they need to be together, why you feel like they need to be separate. And it sounds like it's from maybe some like courses that you've taken from like entrepreneurs are like, okay, here's the strategy, here's what you should be doing. I will share an example, and I like this what we're doing here is a part of me doing it different. Because it's just like, oh, you've got to have like doing this a certain way and have it be, I don't know. And I was just like, no, you know what? For me, I personally am shifting away from just being like a personal brand, and I'm having it be about doing human design reading and teaching human design. And big picture wise, I'm likely going to eventually have like other people doing those things. And it's not about me, it's about it's about human design and learning how to work with the system and everything. And it's not, I took like that structure and the information and like the reasoning behind something, and I made it my own. I'm like, oh, well, this is how it's going to apply to me. Like, because I'm not available to do things that don't feel in an integrity with what I am wanting to create. Because ultimately, it's your business, it's your life. So you get to create it however you want to create it. So if you want them to be together, great. Like maybe experiment with what that's going to look like. But you can also have them be separate too, if it's too much to try to figure out how the square is going to go into a round hole or whatever it is. Like, you don't have to have it. You don't have to make something fit because you feel like you need to make it fit. You can also have it be separate. And you're a whole human. And I found that people are more looking for like the thing that they're looking for, and not necessarily, it's not always about the person. Well, sometimes it is, but it's especially in like where I think where we connected, there do tend to be more like some spiritual people who are interested in some of those things, who would be open to like a spiritual marketing kind of a thing, versus just cut and dry, like this is all strategy. Yeah. Anything coming up or?
Yeah, no, I think this is just super helpful. And it's so funny because when I work with my clients, I'm very much in a place of like, you can do business your way. And then for some reason with this part, it has just I felt so stuck in this area. And I'm like, wow, this is something that I'm like currently trying to work through. And I also I see how I've already done it in ways and in, my past business before I transitioned to business coaching. But, yeah, it's just really interesting how it's like the same thing that I'm working on with my clients, and like the same thing. I'm like, hey, you can run your business the way that you want to run it. And like, you don't have to, I don't recommend that you follow something to the T, because it's not going to work for everybody. And then for some reason, this piece just seems like so hard for me to mentally grasp for some reason. And I keep coming back to this place. So it's just really funny. And I'm, taking a moment to like be humbled in like my position of, I teach this and I still struggle with it.
Yeah. And that's perfectly okay. Like I will say to people, and I've been more, I guess, more like blunt about it, but I've been in my human design experiment for about 3 years. They say it takes about like 7 years to fully decondition. I am like constantly like deconditioning. I am never 100% in alignment. And so we are humans. We are working through things, and it's definitely like a beautiful lesson to learn. I would say, I know I've talked about this like for me personally, but you have that 3-5 profile, and that 3 line is all about experimentation. It's all about like getting like practical life experience. And so I would encourage you that if you have something, like try it out, see how it feels, and really like connect with this is satisfying to me, or no, this is like, this does not feel good. I do this a lot in my business. Like my latest one is I try to do like a day of Voxer with somebody. I did one and I did it. It did not feel good. I was like, oh, I'm feeling frustrated during my day and like anxious, and it didn't feel good. But I didn't know until I tried it, like what this would look like. So if there's maybe create like next time, maybe if you're running a program or group program or something, I'm not sure if you do primarily one-on-one or group programs or masterminds or whatever, but maybe try doing like starting out your calls, if for a group call, like maybe with a quick meditation. Like, oh, hey, let's do a grounding meditation. Okay. And here we go. Try something like that. Or I think a lot of times like limiting beliefs come up, and like whatever concepts that you use personally, like maybe like add those into your programs, or sharing what it is that what you are doing.
Yeah, I definitely do that when I'm actually working with someone, but it's more of like the showing up and putting it into content thing that gets me. Like, do I share this, or do I share something that's like more useful, like a strategy, or something along those lines? So that's related to business versus the spiritual part of it. So
Well, yeah, I mean, the spiritual stuff is useful.
yeah, you're right.
Like
You're right.
when somebody is stressed out about their launch or their content, like, I'm anxious, I'm seeing too much, I don't know what to talk about, like, quick meditate, like, like you could even do like, a quick reel of you like doing like a quick meditation, and just like have the text up, be like, you do this when you're feeling stressed out about your business or worried about your launch, or what, whatever you are wanting to talk about, like these things apply. And just sharing, I think you sharing the tools that you use, that's going to be like really beautiful marketing. That comes from what I was saying before about like that present moment. Like, what are you using right now, or what do you use in your business? Like, the way that people are drawn to you, because you try things out and you learn a lot of lessons and share those along the way. And then that 5 part of your profile, that's the, like, it's technically the heretic, but I like the word hero better. Like, people are going to be coming to you for like your wisdom and your solutions, and you've gained that wisdom from trying things out, from like seeing how things work and getting that like practical life experience. So you can just share your experience, you can share your story, and that's going to be helpful for people to really see how that works. So you don't necessarily have to separate it. You can just share, like if you're wanting to put it together, but like sharing what you do spiritually, like day to day in marketing your business. Because that's what I love about people who are in marketing. It's like you're marketing and you're teaching people how to market, but you're demonstrating it also, and people get to see that, and people get to see it in a way that's like so much better than some of the scammy, sleazy stuff that I've seen out there. And I'm like, ugh, no. Yeah, so you get to demonstrate that, and that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. I'm curious, what is so I see the arrows, like there's 2 blue arrows and there's 2 yellow arrows. And I know that like on the bottom, it's like the 3, 5. What is like what are the top arrows and like those numbers?
Oh, okay. So they're called the variables, and it's like a whole thing. I'm gonna be like really honest. I have like a surface level knowledge of that. I have not dived super deep, but it's on my list, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. So essentially, this top left arrow, I'm bad with right and left. If that's your digestion arrow, that has to do with how your brain digests and your body digests food and information. And so this one, it's pointing to the left. And so this is more of a masculine energy. It's very like structured. So in terms of digestion, especially food, like eating regular meals throughout the day is going to be important. You probably have a tendency to get hangry. I have a left facing arrow, and yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I do get hangry. I do need to eat every few hours or on a consistent basis. And so that's going to be like better for you. And in terms of learning, like repetition and just having like a continuous digestion of information, and going through programs. And so just keep that in mind. Like it's very like, okay, steady digestion schedule. This other one here, And that's the environment arrow. This has to do with, so schedules and this is like more your environment, like how you surround yourself and like where you are. So with it facing to the right, you may like to switch up your environment, maybe like working, having a truly like mobile office. Yeah, working in different places is like really good. Probably like to travel to different places. And
I love going to
yeah,
coffee shops, getting out of
yes,
my house.
exactly. Yes, like getting out of the house, like going to different places, like having switching things up a bit. And there's more deeper stuff to it. And then this arrow up here, this is your awareness. And so this is where I'm like, I think some of the stuff that I originally learned was from like there's some bad information out there. So that's like your awareness. This is where motivation comes from. Again, this is facing towards the left. So it's going to be, a little bit more, it's more of that masculine structured energy there. That's all I'm going to share about that. Sorry. But and then this one is the perspective. This is the lens through which you see the world. And so this is when it's facing towards the left, this is more like structured. It's more detailed. You tend to see things in a more like detailed way. And it's more about the things that like stand out to you. It's not necessarily like a photographic memory or anything like that, but you'll like see the detail. Like I have mine facing left also, and it's like I pick up on details that other people don't necessarily pick up on, and can be like it's very interesting. But yeah, like I said, I know a little bit about it, and the numbers do mean things. It goes a little bit deeper. It's called like the color and the tones. And yeah, I don't really feel comfortable diving so deep into that, like just because I learned a lot of misinformation, and I'm trying to like I'm in the process of deconstructing all of it now. Do you have any other questions about anything?
Yeah, I have one more question about the 8-1 channel. Could you tell me a little bit about how that relates to my business?
So that one is all about the self-expression. So you are here, like you have this, that one, like you're here to express yourself, like your self-expression is very important to you. This is about like your look, like it can be your look, style, and clothes. It can be, especially since it's connected to your throat, how you speak, the tone that you use, like the words that you say, like those are all, like really important. And this is a part of the like individual like knowing circuitry, and you have the ability to create something fresh and like have this keen sense of style. I'm referring to some of my notes here, but yeah. And like your voice is like that vessel for authentic expression. It's like, I love this. And so you can bring like fresh life to things that are maybe like overdone or boring, like kind of like math things. And so you can like freshen them up through your unique style and flair. And so what's really important is for you to be honest with who you are and how you express yourself. Like, are you enjoying the things that you're creating? How are you expressing yourself? Like, is it something that you love to create? And so like giving yourself that permission to explore who you are and like see if you can like capture it and communicate it to the world. So it's just kind of like what I shared with you before. I love how this all connects even without me like, thinking about it.
Right.
And so like operating from your soul is going to be hugely important for you. And even in your business, like if you're not able to express your soul, it's going to feel draining. And so that like blockage, like, oh, I'm not like, I feel like I can't express my spirituality. Like, how can you bring that out? Like that, like creating from your soul, expressing from your soul. This is like having your business be this where you can creatively express yourself like that, like that's going to be hugely important to you. So sometimes it's about taking the things that you're learning maybe from a business centered program and taking that structure and, oh, how can I like infuse my own creativity and flair into this? How can I make this work for me? Like what you telling all your clients to do, like make sure you're still doing that for yourself. And so, and also when you're speaking, speak from the heart. That's like what that channel is about.
I feel like that was like perfectly connected to what we were talking about earlier and fusing those pieces together. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I'm like, sometimes I just trust. I'm very much in flow with these. I trust like what is coming through comes through. And then I'm like, oh yeah. And then this that I didn't even like make the connection to it all. It all connected. Do you have any other questions or anything?
I don't think so. I feel like that I really got so much from this. And yeah, I feel like this was really, really helpful.
Good. Yes. No, I'm really glad. Let me. Thank you. I'm going to stop.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Want to dive even deeper? You can book your own reading and choose to be featured on the podcast. How awesome would that be? By going to my website, www.theamymay.com/sessions. And if you can't get enough of human design, follow me on Instagram and or YouTube at Manny_Jen_in_the_wild and catch my human design videos. Thank you again for listening and catch you in the next episode.